Okay, thank you everyone for joining us today to talk about this small business grants program for 2023-24. My name's Mike Rowell. I'm the project coordinator here at the City of Melbourne and managing this grant round, and I'm here with my colleagues Troy and Alejandra, who are amazing supports for me on this massive grant program that we're running. So thank you all for like I said, thank you all for coming. Just a couple of quick things. We are recording this session, so it will go up on the website afterwards. The Q&A function is there for you to use to ask questions. We will come to questions at the end, but feel free to put them in there anytime, and we'll come back to them. And any questions that we don't manage to get to in today's session, then we will respond to everyone who registered afterwards via email. So never fear, your questions will be answered. So we'll get underway. Firstly, I'd just like to acknowledge the traditional owners of the land we govern, the Wurundjeri, Woiwurrung and Boonwurrung peoples of the Kulin, and pay respects to their elders past and present. We acknowledge and honour the unbroken spiritual, cultural and political connection they have to this unique place for more than 2,000 generations. First up, I guess, we're here today to talk about small business grants. We're looking to support the establishment of new businesses and the expansion of existing ones that are within the municipality. So I've got this map here basically to show you what the municipality is. Many people think Melbourne is Melbourne and it's the whole of the metropolitan Melbourne, but the City of Melbourne itself encompasses this area here from South Yarra down in the southeast to Flemington in the northwest and some parts of Port Melbourne. So just keep that in mind when thinking about whether your business is eligible or not, but we'll come to eligibility more soon. The objectives of our grant program this year is to encourage the establishment and growth of small businesses that enhance the City of Melbourne's reputation for business innovation, creativity, diversity, inclusiveness and environmental sustainability. We really want to strengthen our local economy's resilience. So there's looking for businesses with that unique point of difference that have really good sound business models and can show that financial viability that's really important to operating within the City of Melbourne. Obviously, we're looking for businesses that will generate employment and provide investment opportunities as well. One of the key parts of this year's grant program is to enhance the city's vitality by increasing the occupancy rate of shop fronts across the municipality. So what is a shop front? Just to clarify, in this instance, for this grant round, we're talking about a street-facing ground level commercial property. As everyone, we haven't actually run our small business grants since 2020, when the focus shifted from providing grants like this to really supporting those businesses that were in the city that were going through all the lockdowns that we went through and the restrictions that really made it difficult to operate a business. And so one of the impacts of that has been that we have seen a pretty significant increase in our shopfront occupancy. Vacancy hit a high of 30% in late 2021, and it's been slowly coming down, and we've run a range of programs to try to activate a lot of those vacant shop fronts. And this grant program, reinstating this year, gives us an opportunity to really sort of still focus on that and try to get some more businesses operating in those vacancies that you'll see scattered around the municipality. Troy, over to you.
Thanks, Mike. So as Mike alluded to, there's two streams for this grants program. There's an open stream where up to $20,000 is available to any business that meets the eligibility criteria and program objectives. So look at your program guidelines for that. There's a shopfront occupancy stream that has two options. So up to $20,000 for shop fronts that have been vacant between 2 to 6 months, and up to $30,000 for shop fronts that have been vacant for more than 6 months. there is a bit of a timeline we're keen to discuss with you guys in terms of the program. We've obviously opened up our grants round now. That opened on the 22nd of August, and it closes at 12 p.m. on Monday, the 25th of September. The reason for 12 p.m. is, I guess, giving you guys a bit more time to get those applications in, and if there's any last minute issues, we're there to support. Obviously not suggesting that you start an application at 11 a.m. on Monday the 25th. So, but we'll really be there for that support for those that are finishing off their applications. The assessment period will take place between October and November, and our outcomes will be announced once signed letters of agreements have been signed.
Thanks, Troy. So in terms of eligibility criteria, there is a full list that you can find in our program guidelines on the website, and we'll put the links up for that at the end. But essentially, you, as we said, you must be located within the city of Melbourne or be committed to relocating within the city. So if you are successful in your grant application, you can still apply without being in the city of Melbourne, but to be able to get the grant funding, you must have a business location within the municipality within 3 months of having received that successful notification of your grant. Then you also obviously have to have a valid Australian business number, and to be a small business, it's less than 20 full-time or equivalent employees at the time that you apply for the grant, and the application form will take you through all of that. Obviously, with the shopfront occupancy stream, with the two options there in that stream that Troy outlined, you will need to provide evidence of a commercial lease that's for a minimum of 12 months. And to be able to apply for the 20 or 30K, needing the lease, but also having the confirmation from the property owner or the landlord that that property has been vacant for 2 to 6 months or more than 6 months. As I said, there's a full list of the eligibility in the program guidelines. Then in terms of assessment criteria, so this is how we've weighted, or how your applications will be weighted. The business plan, your workforce and the experience is 40%. The benefits and impacts to the City of Melbourne, 20%, and that financial viability that I mentioned earlier is also 40%. So as you can see, that business plan and finances are the really two key ones to do, but obviously benefits and impact, the stronger application is there, the better chance that your application has to being successful. To go into those with a little bit more detail, the business plan, workforce and experience, that's really where you demonstrate the business's operational plan. So what is that unique point of difference that your business is offering to the City of Melbourne? What are you bringing that, obviously the City of Melbourne has a significant number of businesses. So what is it that yours is bringing into the city, and what do you hope to do? Obviously that organizational structure and the team, who is it that's going to be in charge? Basically, it's really just those key team members that are going to deliver on your business's goals, and then an outlining who your main competitors are, and also the marketing strategy. So, what is it how are you going to promote your business? Who is it that you're targeting? What are the kind of customers that you're looking to get? So essentially, it's your business's purpose, vision, and then that operational model that you will have when you're operating in the city. Troy.
Thanks, Mike. So part of our assessment criteria is talking about alignment to our council plans and our economic strategies. So we really want to know the benefits and impact on the City of Melbourne for your business. So take the opportunity to familiarise yourself with our council plan. There is some guides in the guidelines. There is some support, I guess, in terms of not having to go through all that information and some suggested pathways. But we do encourage you to look at our council plan 2021 to 2025 and our EDS, our economic development strategy. It's a 10-year economic, social and cultural plan. Yeah, and really, I guess in your application, we're asking you to outline your small business's contribution to the city and its people and places. City of Melbourne is also signed up to the UN sustainability goals. So I would recommend having a look at those as well in more detail. This webinar will be up on our website post this, so you can have a good look at these 17 goals. We're asking you to pick one that your business identifies with the most from the 17 SDGs. So have a think about what fits for your business and how that can align to City of Melbourne.
Thanks, Troy. And so then the third assessment criteria is that financial viability. So as part of your application, you must provide the financial statements and other financial information that will really kind of show how your business is set up financially, what the viability of it looks like. We have actually provided on our website some financial templates that you can make use of for this section of it if there's not something that you already have as part of your business operational plan. The evidence could include the projected financial statements, your profit and loss, but really it is just about setting out what it is that you're financially contributing to the business, where's the investment, and what it is that's sort of going in and out really in terms of expenses and how the business is set up. So really kind of like there is that emphasis on this part of the application needing to be really solid, and we will come to some further support that we can offer in terms of that as well, that we've got with Small Business Mentoring Service. But really we have seen that those applications where they've really sort of put the effort in and then provided a really good solid financial outline of their business, they're the ones that are more likely to be successful in getting a grant. So really do put the effort into that one. And as Troy said, please don't leave uploading those kind of documents until the last day. It's often one of the ones where it's, that the last day of the application, you try and upload several documents, and you don't want to run into trouble there. So in terms of what we will fund and won't fund, I guess, is there's, the kind of things that you can request funding for is that capital improvements, the fit out of a business if you're setting it up, or the improvement of a business that you've already got that will help you to expand what you're currently doing. It may include those kind of things there, like furniture, petitions, shelving, doing painting, things like that, but it's not limited to those. They're just some ideas. Website development or enhancements to, maybe better set up your online shopping, or to be able to kind of better offer a new service. IT equipment, specialized equipment and software. So obviously that, something that you need for your business to be able to do something new or different, or to improve what it is that you're currently doing. And then whatever sort of other expenditure items that you have, that there really can be other ones, but you really need to be able to demonstrate what the need is for the business to be able to succeed and to achieve its goals. The kind of things we won't fund, though, is those more kind of operational ones, ongoing costs like rent, utilities, wages, obviously personal expenses. You really do need to make sure that you meet the eligibility criteria, and it will be the first part of the application form when you go in there is to be able to tick that box, yes, that you meet all that criteria, and then obviously the assessment criteria that we went through. And there's also the expenditure items. They can only have been incurred after the date that you have submitted your application. It can't be prior. In terms of the shop front occupancy stream, we are allowing for vacancies that have been occupied or taken up since the 1st of July, just so we know. Obviously with negotiations on shop fronts, they can take some time. So you could have potentially been negotiating for several months and you want to put in an application. So at the end of the day, it is really just about being able to provide that commercial evidence of that commercial lease before you can get the grant. But if there is an application underway, or you're in negotiations with a for a property to run your business, then by all means and apply for the grant, and then you can provide that after the fact if you're successful. Troy, it's you.
Thank you. So how do you apply it? Like, applications take place through Smarty Grants, and all applications must meet our eligibility criteria, address all assessment criteria, answer all questions, and submit it by 12 p.m. Monday, the 25th of September 2023. Our assessment process will take place over that time once the applications are closed. There's a due diligence phase where we kind of look at what the application has to have met. If you get through that due diligence phase, the next stage is through assessment, through panel. So applications are individually assessed by a panel. And then recommendations are made. So selected applications will go to council for their decision. Given the timing of grants, outcomes will be communicated through Smarty Grants. Like, we may be looking at around December, January, Christmas time. So we do require letters of agreement to come back. So it may take some time to make sure that all recommended recipients have been able to be notified and outcomes notified to everybody who's been unsuccessful as well. So we're expecting that probably, heading into the new year, that we're hopeful that we'll be able to make contact from there.
Very good, thanks, Troy. In terms of the additional support that we have, so next Monday we've actually got the Small Business Mentoring Service running a grant writing webinar specifically targeted around this grant application. So writing a grant for a small business grant. So that's on at 11 a.m. on Monday. You can use that QR code there to go straight to the registration. The details are also on our website as well. So feel free to jump on there if you want to register. They will take you through the process of that, meeting the assessment criteria and the kind of details, getting a bit more into the detail of what it is that you could provide or answer any sort of questions around, generally grant writing. So that's a good one to get onto. They are also, as I mentioned, offering financial information support. So basically, if you're sort of wanting to make sure that you're getting the best sort of putting forward the best financial information that you can, they are offering a one-on-one session. So we've managed to we've got like a discount for those, so it only costs $80 for you to register, get your one-on-one session. You can take along the financial templates that are on our website, and they'll help you to put all that together in that session. You can book subsequent ones with them as well too. The mentors there, they have a great and can be really helpful and talk you through. Just the initial session will cost you $80, and then just talk to that particular mentor around what any sort of future sessions may cost. In terms of questions about the grant, you can contact us. So if there's questions around the opportunity, or you want to clarify whether you're eligible, or if you're not sure about something that like certain activities that you want to do, then you can contact us at Business Funding at Melbourne, and one of us, myself, Ali, or Troy, will be able to talk to you about that. If you're having actual issues with the Smarty Grants application, there is tech support through Smarty Grants themselves. If it's more sort of around something's not uploading, or the tick box isn't working, or whatever that might be, then it's probably quicker for you to go straight direct to Smarty Grants. So not so much about the grant, but more about the functionality of the application form. There's support teams really helpful. And Troy, that's for you.
Sorry, Mike, just trying to get myself off mute there. So, look, there's a lot of support here. There's a lot of thought that's gone into how we can support businesses around the grant writing, like Mike just suggested. We also have our business concierge team. They're a dedicated team of case managers who assist new businesses with getting started at all stages of their business, existing business to transform their operating models. Connecting all businesses with the right business mentoring service at the right time to achieve business success. So I mistakenly said they offer really that ongoing service for up to 18 months, but realistically, that's ongoing, they've told me. So we really recommend that anyone making an application makes contact with our business concierge team. So you can call 9658 9658 and press 1 for business, or book online. You've got your QR code there, so really recommending any applicants to go through that process. They're a great team and great support for us.
Yeah, that's right. Thanks, Troy. The business concierge team are really there to support businesses in general. So feel free to, if you are a business in Melbourne already and you haven't spoken to BC and you've got things you want to do with council or find out about anything else, then they're the go-to for that. I think in this, obviously we found through COVID, where our business concierge team was created, was that businesses really do benefit from having just that one point of contact, particularly at council, where there's probably lots of touch points and stuff. So if you don't even know who to contact at council about something, then BC can guide you through that as well. Just quickly, I thought it was worth going over a couple of our previous recipients, just to sort of showcase the kind of things that you can do. We have Mork Chocolate, which actually received the grant back in 2014. They were just running their first initial cafe. Husband and wife team opened it in 2012. They got a small business grant to get some new machinery to be able to produce more chocolate, different type of chocolate to what they were doing. And then they have now since grown into having 3 locations. So they've got the North Melbourne one originally, the Vic Market in the food hall there, and they've also got another one in the CBD as well. They have a chocolate factory and also have operations in the UK and Japan. So they're a really good example of just like where you can go with having, once you've sort of got a grant, to kind of expand what you're doing. Wendy Voon, so she operates out of the Queen Victoria Market and has obviously, going through the sort of overhaul that's going on there at the moment, has moved around to a couple of different spaces, but the grant in 2017 helped her to really expand just what was a standard kind of retail space into offering a personalized shopping experience that people could go in, and she was able to kind of set up that retail space in a different way using the grant. So that was doing, and that's an ongoing service that she still has today. And then lastly, the Little Don Distillery. So they operate out of what is essentially one of the last remaining single house stores in the CBD, which I only learned myself last week, which is great. But they got the grant in 2019. They're a gin distillery, but they got the grant in 2019 to create a whiskey that's actually has been maturing in a cell in the old Melbourne jail, and they've just recently cracked that open apparently, and having tastings of it. So if you like a good whiskey, then head down to Little Don and ask them about that one. But that's just a handful of ideas. We've had other ones where we had topical at the moment is a women's football shoe manufacturer who did have a business in the city of Melbourne and has since gone on to bigger and better things, operating, selling women's football shoes all over the world. Obviously, that's something that they've been going pretty massive with over the last few weeks, as you can imagine. And I'll hand over to Troy. We'll just quickly, before we get to questions, we might just tick off on a few frequently asked ones. If you want to go through those, please, Troy.
Yeah, thanks, Mike. It's a lot of information to take in today, so just acknowledging that. So we just wanted to kind of share some of the questions that might come up for some of our applicants before we go into the chat. So can my business apply more than once? No, it's only one application per business ABN. We have had one business that made contact with us saying that they weren't happy with their application. So we've suggested they make another application and we'll acknowledge that one. So you just can't delete an application once it's come in. So that's important to note through Smarty Grants. Can I apply for grant funding if I've received grant funding from other sources for my business? The answer to that is yes, but you must clearly demonstrate how the funding is different from the activity that you're already receiving funding for. Basically, you can't receive funding for the same thing twice. Insurance, always a big question around certificate of currency. Do I need to submit one? The answer to that is yes. Your application requires you to submit evidence of appropriate insurances to be able to be accepted for assessment. Can I apply for retrospective activities? The answer is no. As mentioned earlier by Mike, only expenditure items incurred after the date of your application was submitted. It's also good to note that priority be given to leases signed for vacant shops after the 1st of July 2023. So we're talking about that 1 to 2 months and 3 months and over, 3 to 6 months. So that's after the 1st of July this year. When will I get my money? Everyone's favourite question. As per the funding agreement, once executed, a letter of agreement is executed, an invoice received. Standard payment terms for City of Melbourne is 30 days. What if my proposed activity fails or does not occur? You must inform us as soon as you know. It's best to be honest about it and open with us as soon as possible. If you're facing challenges with delivering your proposed activity, you can contact us to discuss options. We're not here to make it difficult for you. We're here to support you through that process. So, we want to see you be successful as much as ourselves. Like, this money's going forward to support a grants program, and we want to support businesses to be able to achieve those grants. So really, I guess getting in contact with us as early as possible is the recommendation there. Can you provide feedback on my application before I submit it? No, we can't provide feedback or advice on the contents of your application. It's a competitive grants round. Yeah, really, we recommend that you're making your own application and going through that process. Can I get an extension to submit my application? No, though we will consider case-by-case basis if you're having technical issues on the closing date. But as has been reiterated by myself and Mike before this, don't leave your submission to the closing date. Yeah, that's a closing date. So really, we're hoping that you're getting into those applications as soon as possible. So they're kind of some of the questions that have come up for us. I guess we want to open it up to a bit of Q&A now. I might hand over to Ali to provide us with a couple of questions that have been in the chat.
Thank you, Troy and Mike.
Thanks, Ali.
We do have a couple of questions. Can you hear me well?
Yep, can hear you. Thanks.
So one of the question is, if you are an online business, that mean that you are unlikely to be awarded the grant, or simply you are ineligible for shopfront?
Yeah, so for an online business, you would still need to have, it's about your presence within the municipality. So you can run an online business, but you would need to have some operation within the City of Melbourne. So whether that's you live in the City of Melbourne and you operate your online business out of your residence in Kensington or Docklands or South Bank, for example. But yeah, to be able to be eligible, you need to be in the City of Melbourne. if you don't plan on having a bricks and mortar or a shopfront store, then yeah, you would be applying for the open stream.
And have a look at those guidelines as well. I mean, just kind of circling back to some of the points we've made earlier, a valid ABN, have less than 20 full-time or equivalent employees at the time of applying. So, you know, they're the type of things you need to be looking at there.
Another question is, for the shopfront stream, does the lease have to be already signed at the time of the application?
No, you can't, like, yeah, as I said, you can be negotiating for your lease or still be exploring where you want to be when you put your application in. Should you be successful in your application, then you would need to be able to provide evidence of a commercial lease within that 3-month time frame. So that's about being able to show that you are promptly relocating within the city of Melbourne. Yeah, and there's a 3-month time frame because obviously you would still need to be able to secure that lease and then be able to then be able to deliver on the rest of the activity that you are getting the funding for as well. So there needs to be that imperative around the time frame.
And for the person that asked that question, now's a good time to get in contact with Business Concierge.
I think with sorry, just quickly, Ali, one of the things with Business Concierge is that they can help with is some of that guidance around the kind of locations in the city that might be available or where it is that you might want to operate, depending on what your business does or is. You can we do currently run a shopfront vacancy audit across the whole municipality that gives us at least a little bit of an insight into what's vacant or not. And so those spaces that are for lease, you know, we have some detail around those kind of spaces, whether the size they are, the kind of business that was operating there previously to it being vacant. And that's some of the information that the Business Concierge team would be able to and ourselves as well, be able to provide you some, you know, assistance with to try and see where it is that where it might be appropriate for you to try to open a particular type of business.
Thank you. Another one, will we get the funding upfront once the grant is successful, or will each item approved to be funded have to be invoiced and then the funding approved against it?
Yeah, so that comes down to your funding agreement. Once you've been successful in, once you've been notified that you've been successful, we'll then go through a process with you of organising the contract funding agreement. And so part of that will include establishing what your milestones are going to be as part of the grant. And so the whole grant won't be paid up front, but how much is paid and when really depends on what activities that you're planning to do. So there may be some instances where it's 50-50, there may be others where it's like 70-30, or there might be multiple payments depending on what the activity is. It really comes down to what it is that you're proposing to do and how that expenditure would need to be done. So that's up for negotiation basically. But there will be some element of the grant funding that would be held over to the end as part of the acquittal or final report for your grant as well.
If successful, do I have to acquit the grant funds?
Yes. Did I just answer that, Ellie? I did just answer that question. Thank you. Yes.
Yes. So just yeah, on that 12 months, and also as Mike said, there would be a payment up front. So if a business is ticking a lot of the boxes, it may be an 80-20 kind of scenario. If there's certain requirements you may have, maybe 60-20-20, like in terms of 3 payments. But yeah, certainly, yeah, the idea, it's not on a invoice by invoice basis. It's really about trying to get you going as quickly as possible, and as Mike said, meeting those milestones to be able to achieve the goals of your business.
Yeah.
There's another one here about clarifying what the equivalent to 20 full-time employees would be.
Well, it's equivalent. So if you've got 20, if you have more than 20 full-time staff or the equivalent, so that basically, like, if you have multiple part-time staff or casual staff even, you would work out what they kind of total, and if that's more than the equivalent of 20 full-time staff, then that puts you into a medium-sized business. Anything under 20 full-time staff, it can, that 20 full-time, so essentially it's your full-time hours times 20, what, depending on, and obviously, you know, there's the sector that you're in or like how that works, but basically you would just calculate what it is, the number of staff that you have, how much they work, and work out whether it's 20 full-time equivalent or not. More or less than that.
This one is in regards to the costs that can be claimed. So if building an online product like an app, someone who uses contractors to build the product could claim those costs of the contractors. Or if you're self-funded and you are the one building the app, how can they cover their own resources putting into the app?
That is operating as a sole trader, essentially. If it's if you're building an app but you're just paying for your time, that would be classified as wages for you, as opposed to the technology or the software or something that you needed to be able to build the app. I think that is how I would differentiate between those two things. Yeah. The grant can't cover wages, basically. So whether you're paying someone internally to build the app or paying yourself to do it.
This one is similar, related. If using a contractor for something like a website development, would the contractor must be located in Melbourne or Australia?
No, like the contractor doesn't have to be. The business that's getting the website developed would need to be the one that would have the physical presence within the city of Melbourne. Yep. Be registered. So the business needs to be registered within the municipality.
Thank you. And I think we have one last question here. How many businesses will be awarded a grant?
Oh, the magic number. Well, I mean, we anticipate somewhere between 20 and 30. The grant round we have $500,000 basically for this grant round. So it really comes down to the number of applications, how much they ask for, those that are successful, what it is that they're allocated. Not the amount of. Sorry, I'll start that again. The amount that you request for the grant doesn't necessarily guarantee that you will get that amount either. That's obviously just comes down to how the application is assessed and what's considered to be to be able to be funded or not as well. So, you know, there's, but the short answer to that is it's a bit of an unknown, but we anticipate between 20 to 30 businesses.
One final question that we got through our inbox is, do I have to be an Australian resident to apply for a grant?
Nope, you don't. Your business needs to have an ABN. So basically you need to meet that eligibility criteria that we set out. And essentially that is if your business if you have a valid and active ABN, then that's fine. That having an ABN doesn't necessarily mean that you have to be an Australian citizen or resident. It's about the business itself, not the person. Yeah.
And
So
when
go for it.
Yeah, when registering for an ABN, if you're from overseas, there is a part of an application process you can go through. Yep.
Yeah.
Those are all the questions we had. Thank you.
Thank you for that, Ali.
So if there's any further questions, feel free to contact our business funding at melbourne.vic.gov.au. Thanks, Ali. Thanks, Mike.
Yeah, thank you both. Thank you everyone for joining us, and we look forward to reading your awesome applications. All the best. Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.